Over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. The horse knows the way to carry the sleigh through white and drifted snow.
When deciding on a dish that would perform the exclusivity of their traditional American Thanksgiving, I had three main categories. The first was that this item had to be one of the original crops harvested on Native American soil. If we're going to be celebrating the Native culture and the food that they grew that allowed us to survive, the item would have to be one of these traditional crops. Secondly, if America is going to say that the holiday is inclusive to all cultures, the food that is served at the meal needs to be so, inclusive to all cultures. And third, this dish will need to be meaningful to me. If I'm the one presenting the foods, it's going to have to make sense to who I am. Starting my research off looking at the first crops on North American soil really narrowed down my research. The three sisters were considered the Holy Trinity of indigenous cultures as they were the first sustainable sources of food that the natives were able to grow. Each of the three sisters represented an essential crop that the natives used to survive. They consisted of corn, beans, and squash. The three sisters also offered spiritual connections and are apparent in mythology across tribes. For example, the Hopis in the Southwest, to the Onits in the Midwest, and the Iroquois in the Northeast. From narrowing down my search into choosing one of the three sisters, I tried to see which of these would be most culturally inclusive. I explored the most common foods in each culture and felt that they easily included aspects of all three sisters. Thus, I went to my final category and decided that, out of my three options, squash would be the most meaningful to me. Farmers from Rockville Market Garden in Stocksboro, Vermont explain how they produce their butternut squash.
We've been growing butternut squash. We don't grow like the whole plethora of squash. We actually only grow butternut squash, mostly for processing, and we've been doing it for 12 years. We grow mostly Atlas, which is a very, very long day crop. And then we'll do we'll always throw like a couple other ones in. We transplant all our butternut squash. No direct seed, so one of the challenges is that you need, basically between May 28th and June 10th, you have to get it all in. And you can't have it be too hot, and you can't have it be frosting. So that's a big project, getting that squash in. It's also a timing issue. You need to get in the seedlings at exactly the right moment. They certainly don't want to get put in too big. We do 2 plants and a plug every 30 inches. I think it was 45,000 seeds this year. We actually don't irrigate our squash at all. We have this bed former. It's been a great investment for us because it all in one pass. It makes a raised bed. It lays the plastic. It fertilizes the bed. And you do have the option of putting down drip irrigation, but we just find that the effort doesn't justify the end.
Rockville Farm is a good example of how farmers grow their butternut squash for Thanksgiving meals across the country. When I actually narrowed down my contribution to the Thanksgiving meal, the most personal connection I had to one of the members of the squash family was the butternut squash, and more specifically, butternut squash soup. The soup is never the main side dish at the family dinner. However, it is the main dish at the Thanksgiving lunch. You could think of it almost as our appetizer, but takes place hours before the actual meal. And this is unique to my family because it's a ritual we do every year, and it holds us over for the large dinner that happens later in the evening, that we call Thanksgiving.
It's butternut squash, sing it with me.
Not a white squash.
No, it's butternut squash, your turn.
Better not wash.
Ay caramba, butternut squash.